Okay, folks, good evening. Thursday night edition of Painting Tanks, or whatever the hell you want to call it. Being held hostage by encroaching on my work area. I got stuff everywhere. We do a little bit of a cleanup. Let's do a bird's eye view of this. And while I pick up this stuff, we got the two stands, well actually three stands. We're gonna glue these tanks on that and finish detailing them. These are one of the three that's done. Chocolate brown, we don't need any more chocolate brown. Chocolate brown is done for now. Okay. Brown violet. Okay, this is the Vietnam color. That's what I'm calling it anyways. World War II German field gray. Nope. Here's the other olive drab. We'll keep it nearby. And we'll keep dark sand nearby. Nope, that's buff. Which is its cousin? Dark sand. Alright, we'll keep those three nearby. And the wash tone. What's this? US Field Drab. More US Field Drab. Russian uniform. My favorite color to say, white. Oh, and there's a gray. We're going to keep those three. Microsol. I don't know what that's doing there. That doesn't need to be here. Let's put away all these brushes. And the large brushes go in the large brush area. There's always fumbles. We'll need that in a second. We won't need this. You may need this. We won't need that. Out of X-Acto blades. I better buy those in a store. Some things like that, if you buy them on Amazon, you end up getting some Chinese rip-off copy that doesn't work well. I did that one time with razor blades. That was a mistake. And hey, I could save a lot of money with, razors. Razors like for your face. Nope. Don't buy those on Amazon, folks. You're not going to get what you think you're getting. And I don't think it's Amazon trying to rip you off. I just don't think they can check all the sources, and that happens to be a bad source. I have to take a vacuum to this over the weekend. Basically, at the stage that we're at right now, these three tanks are finished. And I want to get rid of some of the sheen, which is only very little. So I want to do some brush on for that, but they're complete other than that. And we need to put these three on bases. And there's just a tiny little sheen. It's not even that noticeable. I did put some of the Vallejo flat on it. I don't know if it... I don't want to use the heavy duty stuff if I don't have to. I may have to do that. I had a bad experience last night after I signed off, and I'll tell you guys about it once we get some other people on here, because there's no point in rehashing it. There's no point in telling that story without anybody being here, because it's something that might actually be beneficial to other people. And I've actually never, I'm going to say I never had it happen, but that's not true. It's happened one other time, and I know what the problem is. So I will not let it happen to me again. It could have been catastrophic, and it wasn't. It wasn't. It would have been catastrophic if I was doing it with one of my DBA armies, and it wasn't. It was just with these tanks. So, a lot easier to fix with these tanks, for sure. I guess people are late coming in today. It's almost like they got somewhere else better to be. Come on, man. We know that can't be it. I don't want to pop these guys off this until I'm completely done painting them, because it's really handy to do that. Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to be able to fix this any better. But I'm actually okay with it. It's not a big deal. It could have been much worse. All right, let's see. The footprint here. Yep. All right, I think we're going to try to dull these guys. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to try to dull it with... let me do a couple things. You're here, but it's the middle of my workday. Oh, okay. Well, I actually have, now somebody's here. I'll talk about what happened after I signed off yesterday. It's the second experience of this. The first one with miniatures. And I actually sprayed, and I had a problem with the overspray. Now, I know what it was. It wasn't temperature. It was spraying it too thick. Because when I cut off, I'm in the middle of my show yesterday. I went and sprayed it, and I was outside. It's completely dark, right? And my light in my garage isn't very good. And I was spraying, and I wanted to get a good coat on it. I think I went too thick, and it created this crinkle issue. And see if I can show it to you. And I've sanded some of it down. I just don't want to redo the whole tank. I don't think it's worth it. See, I ended up having a finish. This finish, see with the little bubbles? That's actually part of the casting. Honestly, I kind of like it. But these crinkles, and some of it has been sanded off. I just went in with really fine sandpaper, and, you know, it's the first time it's ever happened to me on a vehicle, and it's my own fault for doing it too thick. So, and it didn't happen anywhere. Like, it only happened in one spot here on the top of the turret, another spot here. You could still see some of it on there. I've dry brushed on it, but I think I'm going to, I'm not sure what I'm going to do, but I'm really apprehensive of spraying these guys and having to redo. I'm just glad it didn't happen on a 15mm army. That would have been impossible to fix. You have an excuse. We all have excuses. You have a hall pass? Yeah, and a little bit here. It wasn't too bad. It wasn't everywhere. I'm just going to move forward and deal with it, you know. It's bad enough these decals just suck. These decals just absolutely are terrible. The Petting House. I'm not buying their shit no more. So... I'm going to, there's some of it in sanding it here that some of the paint comes. So I'm going to touch some of that up, just real briefly, and we'll move forward. And it is what it is. You know, it's not that big of a deal. It didn't happen in very many places. I should just consider it to be fortunate. I just wanted to get too good a coat on there. Oh, you missed what I just talked about. Damn it, I'm not going to talk about it again. You can rewind it and see what it was, but... I had a bad finish on a coat, and it was because I went too thick. It was last night when I went to go spray them. I didn't have good light, and I ended up going too thick. My own fault. Luckily, it didn't crinkle in too many places, but better this than on figures. Figures would have been a catastrophe. So I sanded some of it down. Jesus, this is pretty dark. All right. Give me some black. I'm not using a wet palette or something like that. The wet palette just takes up too much space. I've only had this happen one other time. And the other time it happened was when I had like I had a clear piece that I made as a river. This really cool river for a DBA. And I thought it was because it activated. I had primered it in black, and then I used like watercolor paints almost to paint it. And when I went to seal it, I just laid it on too thick, you know. I not varnish by brush instead of spray after an issue. Okay, you now varnish by brush instead of spray after an issue years ago. Yeah, that's the only. So just too thick, you know. And it's because I wanted a good coat on these because I knew they were going to get handled. It's my own damn fault, you know. Shit happens. Keeps me from being perfect. I'm just glad it happened on here instead of something else. But I just didn't have enough light. I didn't really see what I was doing. So, because I was like spraying here, but the light was behind me. So I was like blocking my own light. It was, you know, it was late. Just want to get that one little spot where that was coming through. I think there's another one here on a turret. I'm honestly just gonna seal it and move on. It's only very small, noticeable in places. I sanded it down, used really fine sandpaper, and it's not that big of a deal. It could have been much worse, and it could have been much worse on if it was on something else. So yeah, this is the other color. I'm gonna leave that be. We're gonna put a little bit of something on it. And this one is a different color, olive drab green. Probably wouldn't happen in the daytime, but shit happens. I cleared it up quite a bit. Hey, maybe I'll develop a skill how to fix more fuck-ups. Hey, that shit can be handy. What happens if I touch up this star where this paper is showing? Fuck, I'm fixing that up. Hey, maybe a mistake is a good thing to make. But these petting house decals, if you ever get a chance, and then I look it up, like what's the deal with these petting house? Do they suck? Yep, they're super thick, and several people complained about them. Like, yeah, great. Now I know, because I didn't have a whole lot of options for, like, you know, U.S. stars. You'd think, oh, there's lots of options. Nope. And there's a lot of, like, you know, decal set for this particular vehicle. I just wanted generic U.S. stuff. You know, I'd make my own one of those. It's going to look a little different because it's flat over this, but we're gonna brush on flat. Okay, and this is the green one. There's another little spot right here. Luckily, I had bought all these little sandpapers that are really fine, so I could just go in there and sand what I needed to, but now we'll get some of that Iraqi sand that I already done over the whole vehicle. Nope, that's buff. It's cousin. That's Iraqi sand, but there's a better flowing one. This one. Oh, that one's old as shit. All right, let's. I'm not liking the clear coat part at all. Because I've actually had an incident that's happened a couple times, and that is after I clean the brush good, it's still not good enough, and it leaves like little, almost like chalky parts the next time I do it. So I gotta be careful. But it's nothing I can't fix. It's just annoying to have to fix stuff. Like, you know, if you can do things right the first time, then do them right the first time. Okay. And we'll go over this here. Hold on one second. Enjoyed the footsies. Nice to see a few games played. Nah, it didn't cloud anything. Nah, it's just super shiny. I haven't had any cloudy issues at all. It was just this crinkle that was too thick. And it's shiny in one places, and it's been dry brushed on the top. So let's go give this thing let's give this a clear coat, and hopefully we don't have a problem with it. I'm a little hesitant of using the clear coat I normally use for the figures because I've been having chalky issues with things afterwards. So I do have Vallejo matte varnish, which I tried on the side of the Sherman to try to dull it a little bit. And I don't know that it did a damn thing, honestly. There's still kind of a little bit of a sheen on it. This is after it's been dull coated, but there's nothing I can do about, the cutout around the star. It's just, these decals are just stupid, It's stupid that they're like that. I don't think I have a brush big enough to use that. Do I? I'm gonna have to put it in the enamel thinner. Maybe I can try it with this. I really don't use this brush for anything else. All right, let's clear the table. Let's do a test run on the ones that are already painted. Multiple coats of Vallejo varnish. All right, we're not doing that then. I ain't got time for that. We ain't got time for that. You know what? Change my mind. Let's do one of these. These are already fucked up. What could go wrong? Let's use the dull coat I use for the figures. Yeah, I ain't got time for multiple varnishes stuff. That's just stupid. Now I'll do one of these because this is obviously needs the treatment more than the other ones. Like the running gear, it doesn't really need it that much, but on the surfaces it does. So let's see how many of these we can do. See if I can put this in a place where I can tell where it's moist. So we don't go over anything. Yeah. Yeah, it's picking up like parts of this dry shit on here. Well, as long as I see it on there, I can take it off. It's not a big deal. I will not buy an airbrush. Damn it. I don't have time for that. I do not want to do this hobby in a hot-ass garage. I'm not interested. I already work in a hot-ass place. So we had some cool mornings. Some candy ass at work ended up having the heater on. It's 73 freaking degrees. All right, we're going to leave that alone. Let it do its thing. All right, here's the turret for it. I'm not worried about this tip. I'll just hold on to it and I won't even treat it because I left it black. That's the primer color on the bottom. That actually worked really well doing it that way. And like I said, if this had happened with my 15mm Army, I'd be really upset. It's not a big deal. I can hide this with grime and shit. Can't do that one with the other one. All right, let's come all the way to like say there. Okay, we'll leave that alone. All right, where's the other one? This one. Here we go. How's this thing looking? This stuff actually dries pretty fast. Looking okay. You can see some of the crinkle there that I tried to sand some of that off. That whole side crinkled up. Whatever. It is what it is. You know? It's just something that won't happen again. Which is funny because that's never happened to me with 15mm figures. I've never done them really heavily. It could show dress as a baby New Year. That would be frightful. Yeah, let's not do that. Temperature jumped up to nearly 80 today after being 40 the last 4 days. Yeah, Mother Nature's on the rag, isn't she? This stuff is super, super flat. Super, super flat. I went to the gym today and I was watching a guy that was painting something in Dunkelgrau. Strange to use Dunkel and then do Grau behind it. We're always talking about Dunkelgelb. Dunkelgrau. And he was talking about hell, I forgot what I was saying, but I was watching him, do some airbrushing and stuff, and I don't know that it turned out any better than this. Oh, he's like spraying like enamel things, and he doesn't even have gloves on, so he's like spraying all over his hand, and I'm like, that's just a lot of cleanup for no reason. A lot of cleanup for no reason. So whatever. How many things have I done and it's never happened, so it doesn't really bother me that much. Just like when we used to play car racing games, you can't crash fast enough to win. Snow showers. Yeah, it just seems like a waste. Like I've seen other people like mix colors on their fingernail. Like, why? I mean, I guess some people want to be trendy and paint their fingernails, but not this dude. I ain't into that. So I don't know what I'm going to do the rest of these stars. If the stars just come out like shit, then I'm probably going to stop using them. I'll order some other ones. And I used a fair amount of them. It's just annoying. I think these vehicles turned out really... I mean, they honestly turned out better than I thought they were going to turn out. Even with the tiny little bit of crinkle. Some of these are just amazing. I'm really happy with how they turned out. So, see, this is what you got to be careful. As this stuff dries... See this little white, almost like chalky film? You don't want to put that back on whatever it is, because then you got to deal with it. All right, and where's the last one? This guy here. And this guy's super shiny. Super, super shiny. And it's been flat coated. We flat coated this, and this thing is this shiny. So, it's hard to believe this is a Corgi toy. Let's get the front of this and the tracks. Although anything that's been dry brushed is really dull. That's not an issue. I may have to give this another coat, but we can always coat this again after it's on the stand. Any parts I missed are going to be either not visible or easy to reach. Okay, let's get the wood on here. Got to be careful you don't go over this thing while it's drying, or you end up, it gets tacky. Gets tacky real quick. That looks like I went over it, so let's assume we're going to have to go over some places a second time. And call that good enough for now. Now, the ones from before, let's see how the first one I did, if it's dulling out. Yeah, it's looking a lot better. There's still some wet spots there, but the side of this is really, really dull. Let's get in here, and this stuff is really good. It just happened to be what they had at Hobby Lobby, you know, so it's like, how soon before they discontinue this stuff? Some shine in there, some shine in here. I didn't focus on that area. A friend of mine who actually said his favorite tanks were Shermans. I never heard somebody say that before. That's like sacrilegious. Not sacrilegious, but it's just, you never hear that. Now, I disagree that they weren't any good. But, you know, they're not attractive vehicles. I'm sorry, they're not. But I think that's the appeal to them for me, is they give them some respect. I don't know if that's wet or not. Now here's the problem. I don't really want to rinse this just yet, because if I got to apply more of it, you know what? We're going to leave that good enough, and if we've got to touch it up, we can touch it up once on the stand, because we need to. Where's the stuff to rinse this stuff in? Here we go. The one time that there's no paper towels right here. Yeah, I just don't see a point in making a mess if you don't need to. You're just creating more work for yourself, you know? Like, why? Why are you doing that? All right, let's put these guys away. Okay, I return. MacArthur. So I was doing some research on the Archer, and I was disappointed to find out that they didn't go into service until after Market Garden. According to a place that found it. You know this guy. Little Archer. Because I have a game that shows Archers as part of 30th Corps. That's what I was going to do it as. But if they didn't go in until October, I don't have that big of an ego. I actually didn't know anything about him. I was listening to something about him relatively recently. I didn't know anything about MacArthur. A big ego isn't that bad. I mean, everybody likes Patton, and Patton had a huge ego. He had a shitty voice. But, you know, well, Patton was awesome. I don't know anybody who didn't like Patton. Maybe the guy, he got slapped. Everybody else liked him. So. Back when the U.S. was winning wars, Patton. I said the other day, it's like, we need to dig him back up. Archer entered service Northwest Europe in October. Yeah, so it missed Market Garden. Well, I guess what we'll do is at 1945. I ain't doing it in snow camo. That shit's too complicated. I'm not there yet. Because even snow camo done right looks like shit. Like if you like, man, that snow camo looks spot on. Oh, you like it? No, it looks terrible. Even on real vehicles, it's just crappy, you know. Because what happens is, you got to paint a vehicle standard, right? And then you do some kind of whitewash, and then there's parts where the whitewash is going to wash off, right? So where is it going to wear off? In areas that are flat and people reach, not the crevices. So it's the opposite of what you would normally want. Like you want darkness in the dark recesses. Well, that's where the white's going to be left. So it's almost like you're looking at a negative. It doesn't look right, you know. Even on real vehicles, it doesn't look right. I could do the Archer for Italy. Late. We're gonna wait on the Brits, because I think I'm gonna do the Brits in Italy. Just because nobody does the Brits in Italy. Now the thing about Italy that sucks is the German units that are in Italy. Nobody knows anything about them. They're weird. There's no interest there. So, but I got a bunch of vehicles that are good for both. I'm not going to make my German vehicles specifically for Italy. So, but they could go over there. The problem with Italy is I want to do buildings, and I don't really want to get it. I haven't seen a whole lot of Italian buildings. I want to do, French buildings and stuff like that. All right. Let's not get impatient. And yeah, this is going to need another coating, but we can do that coating after it's on the base. So this is going to be interesting dealing with this track that doesn't stick. I'll get you. I'll goop you down. So here is the here are the stands that they're missing the last color, which is man. This is really, really dark. Let's see if we can do something about that. Really, really dark. I don't understand why I adjust this brightness, and the next time I come back, it's already changed it back to before I adjusted it. Okay. So it's missing the Iraqi sand. All right. So I would normally not do this, what's about to happen next, except I've already done it 3 times successfully, and it is really counterintuitive what I'm gonna do. And let's just make sure we're gonna start with this one and make sure this one's dry, or dry enough to handle. I think it's dry enough to handle. Here we go. This one's been epoxied down. We're gonna break this thing off. Well, that was easy. Jeez. So, this is going to go on this stand here, but I don't want to just glue it on top of here because then it's sitting on top of the ground. I want it to be stuck to the bottom of this, whatever the hell these shims are made out of. I want to call it simplex, but it's not simplex. So we're going to take an X-Acto knife, and normally I do this when this hasn't dried as long, but it's been 12 hours or so, maybe a little bit longer. So I'm going to actually cut or mark on here, there, and I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. And of course it's going to be a little difficult to see. Okay, but I've got these cuts on the outside of where this is going to be. Well, now I can't see the other side. So I'm going to go in a little bit, about that thickness. Okay, and I'm going to come in with my scooper, and I'm going to scoop this out. And I've never done something like this other than these 3. So, sometimes you gotta try new methods that work. Because the alternative is to glue it on here and then try to get the goop in between there. And the next thing you know, I'm spending 2.5 hours trying to get the goop into place. And then you can't get in underneath the tank, but yet you can see it from different angles sometimes. So I'm gonna go it's a little wider than that, isn't it? Yeah, it's quite a bit wider than that. I'm gonna keep the outside edge in the same place. I'm gonna go in more. All right, and then we can touch up the tiniest of little bits, and let's see how it fits in here. I think it fits in there pretty good. Let's do the same to the other side, except, oh, there it is. I can see it from this angle. Let's come in. This. Just take this out. I mean, it takes no time to paint these 2 colors on here. It just only takes a little bit. There's not a whole lot to touch up. I think I've touched it up and not even had to add any goop to it. Just working with what's there is good enough. And let's just come in some. Okay, let's see how it fits on here. It's flush there. Yeah, these damn wheels that... I wish I didn't have to do that, but I couldn't take this thing apart. There we go. Okay, we're good there. And it's sitting up a little bit because of those stupid wheels. Is it this one at the front? Yeah, it rotated. Okay, I think it's right about where it needs to be. I see you, motherless goat herder. Okay, well that's easy to fix when we get it on there. Okay, so that's going to get epoxied there into place. All right, so let's do the other two. I didn't know Viejo Pumice would come off that easy. It really does. Yeah, it did. It does work perfectly. It normally would not be what I would do. I would glue this thing down because you want the epoxy first of all glued to the stand. And I'll be honest with you, it's not that good of a grip because this stuff, whatever material it is, it has a lot of. It's a plastic that has a lot of lubricant in it, if you can envision that. It's bendy, it's got a lot of petroleum stuff to it. So it's resistant to things sticking to it. But you gotta try to rip it off. But you can't just glue it on top because then it's not sitting on anything and it's kind of, Anyhow. Like I said, I tried it 3 times before, and it seemed to work all right. This guy's dry enough. That one's just super glue. And, of course, all those will be reusable. And these are a pain in the ass. I don't know how well this is going to work, to be honest with you. Because I'm going to put this on here, and then I'm going to have to epoxy this. And hopefully, you technically would be able to pull it up. And if it stuck to something, I would get this before it would let go. But there's not that much of it's not that strong of a magnet, honestly. It's just something to keep them from shifting all over the place. All right, so let's mark this one. And I put some little... These are new. I never use these guys for anything. I put some of these guys here for interest. It's happy little grassy stuff. With balsa, I don't know. I hate balsa. It warps. I don't have to worry about these warping. That's the problem with it. It warps like nobody's business. And it has God, what do you call it? It has a thread. It has a pattern where it breaks easy in one direction, not the other. I forget what it's called. I'm on my way to get my Alzheimer's merit badge. I forget shit more and more. I can't believe I don't know what this is called, but we haven't done this product in 20 years, so I guess there's a reason for it, but. And it came up even easier. Came off even easier if you do it like the same day that this dries. thick is it? Obviously thicker than that. Let's come in like here. Daughter's out there with a friend and the wife watching a show. Had a good time at the gym. Just, I've been doing longer walks than I normally do. Usually it's like after 15 minutes, I'm like, I'm done. And I've been doing like 30 minutes now. And, you know, watching people like do modeling videos, like, you know, painting this and painting that. There's a guy on there that does a lot of videos, and his handle is, I don't have a handle. I just use my name. I'm not embarrassed of what my name is. But this guy's name is Herb Erpaderp or something. And his voice, I thought, was a robot because it's extremely clinical. And but somebody told me that's his real voice. And he does a lot of videos. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. But I was watching him paint something, and he has this kind of dry sense of humor. I can't make out where the hell his accent is from. I thought it was just a computerized voice, to be honest with you. I'm usually pretty good to make out where somebody's from. Now, if they're from the UK, I can't tell you they're from, you know, one place as opposed to another one. But sometimes this guy sounds Australian. He's definitely not from this. He's not from this continent. Okay, that actually fits pretty good, and actually sits real well. So let's do the same thing on the other side. We didn't cut the other one, which is just as well because it's hard to see where the hell it's cut. And if we got to fill in a little bit, you got to fill in a little bit. It's not that big of a deal. It'll dry in no time. Seen a few of his videos from England. Doesn't he sound like he's a robot? You know, like you'll watch some video on YouTube. Oh, good, they're going to do a video on whatever it is. And the Germans then went and did it's like, why don't you just use your real voice, man? Why don't people use their real voice? I hate computerized voices. I hate getting a phone call and it's a make-believe bitch on the other line. You know, the number you have reached. I want to know whose voice that is and go pay them a visit. Who was the model for that voice? Yeah, I thought the Erpaderp was a fictitious person. Well, that doesn't sound like the people that lived in that Jolly Island when I was growing up. Something must have happened. Sounds rather clinical. Okay, I think we've got it. Bimbo, we have it. Okay, now I got to make another one just like this one. All right, let's get rid of this crapola. And then we'll have to take Mr. Vacuum Cleaner, which has come in really handy. I had no idea that was something like that was going to be so handy. Sounds like he is forcing the way he's talking to be funny. Yeah. Funny haha or funny peculiar? It's the peculiar one. I think it's just too difficult to just pretend to be somebody you're not. Just be yourself, man. It's just too difficult. It actually breaks off real easy. But there's enough resistance there that I can hold it around and not worry about it hitting the floor and undoing everything I've done. But that's just wasteful. A little bit like that. Okay, make sure it matches up okay with this one. They don't have to be exactly the same, but close will work. It's a shame we got the crinkle fries on there, but it could have been a lot worse. Said it could have been one of my 15mm armies. That would have been pretty bad. And I probably could fix it a lot better if I wanted to spend a lot of time on it. I don't. I got a lot of things to do. Peculiar, yep. Yeah, it's a bit like, don't be around my daughter, dude. Now, you've seen that guy that's really good that I told you about. What's his name? Night Shift or whatever? Wow, guy's amazing. That stuff looks better than the real tank. And the funny thing is, I was watching this video and he goes to paint a figure and he's like concerned that a figure isn't going to come out well. I'm like, get the hell out of here. I'll do figures for you. Guy's crazy, man. He's from Serbia, I think, or something like that. He's got a heavy accent, but you can understand everything he says. That guy's a genius. Genius 1/35th scale modeler. And like him, there's many others. It's just the one I can think of right now. But those things his vehicles look better than the real vehicle. You know? When you look at all the people that do like the panel highlighting and stuff like that, real vehicles don't look like that. Those vehicles look better than a real vehicle. That's not knocking them. It just shows you how good a job they're doing. I just want to do some Panzer Gray vehicles, and we're going to add that little bit of a blue tint to it. Knock those things out of the park, too. That's what we're here for, knocking stuff out of the park. Let's see how this is sitting in here. We need to go a little wider than that. It's a great paint on mono builder. His scratch building skills are incredible. Yeah. I just don't want to sit and do, you know, like a 232 armored car, a German armored car, right? And you spend a ton of time on it, and then you do a BT5, and then you just do a bunch of things that aren't related to each other. You know, I want to do, you know, Shermans that all going to be on the board at the same time. I want to do war game miniatures, you know. Building them and putting them in a case, that's nice, but I'm not interested in that. I want these guys to see action and want to roll dice with these guys. Well, there's lots of content out there. Who's some of your favorite people that have YouTube channels? I'm not talking about me. I know you're on here more than any of the other ones, probably. Hopefully. Otherwise, you're really spending a lot of time on the internet. But what's some of the other places that you watch? Any other recommendations? I don't mind the guys at the Tank Museum. I think those guys are pretty good. The World War II TV guy isn't bad. He's got a lot of stuff. He's a little too dry for me, you know. I like things that are a little bit more. I mean, you don't have to be goofing around, but I just, you know, I want to have fun. You know, this is a hobby. You should be having fun doing stuff. Like I prefer Lindy Beige to the Chieftain. Chieftain just no fun at parties as far as I'm concerned. Hey, he knows his shit, but hey, I want to have a good time. I think that's close enough. We could touch some of that stuff down there. We'd be all right. 3D bot maker. That guy's amazing. You think it's one guy? Do you think it's one guy, or it's definitely heavily edited? It is a ton of work out there. The demolition stuff is like, I'm like busting out laughing by myself. The stuff I love the demolition one because it's nice. It's short and sweet, and that guy's amazing. I hope it's two guys. I don't like people that pretend to be two guys and aren't. It's a little too disingenuous. It's a little too, who's that guy that, Phil Hendry, that used to do that, multiple voices at the same time. This is never going in my car. It's too handy here. Miniature Realms is good. All right. Welcome, Roger B. Let's write him down. Miniature Realms. Spend a lot of time on YouTube and don't watch. Yeah, television's a waste of time. What we got here? Miniature Realms. Miniature Realms. I used to watch. Who's the terrain tutor? Man, that fucker has a lot of energy, but he's got a good attitude, and I think he keeps me entertained. But I think he had some health issues and kind of slowed down what he was doing. But Hex to Hex, okay, Zilla Blitz, Night Shift, Medieval Wargamer, Magrathia, the Builder of Worlds. Really, that sounds like some Cthulhu thing. Look out, it's Magrathia, the Builder of Worlds, coming up. I love people that do unboxings. So, and some people I like, even though people would consider them kind of dry. There's a guy that does a lot of hex and counter stuff, and his name is, oh shit, I haven't watched him in a while. He's up like from Massachusetts. Again, it's a guy who's uses a handle. So I don't know what his real name is. I don't remember what his name is. But his icon of his store is he has a little, like a tank counter for what it is. I love his reviews. Magrathia, Builder of Worlds, does scratch building terrain mostly for burrows and badgers and Necromunda. Way things are set up, my PC is right next to my recliner, so it's easy not to. There's a lot of really good stuff on YouTube. I mean, there really is. Did you see this episode? There's a guy called Fidnell or something like that. He does like naval stuff. And he did this one series, I didn't finish watching it, on the Seydlitz, German battlecruiser Seydlitz of the First World War. And he built a model of the Seydlitz, which wasn't extremely well built or painted, but he's talking about the hits that he does, and he puts like little black markers on where it hits when he talks about them. Like, man, talk about going through a lot of detail. Something like that. Storm of Steel. Yeah, I've watched some of Storm of Steel stuff. Hoffman Samatobin. Welcome back. The Hoffmeister. Yeah, I didn't know about Storm of Steel until he actually posted on one of my videos and said he watches my stuff. So I'm like, okay, well, I'll return the favor. I've never heard of you. Because I'm usually, people that produce stuff, we're doing it all the time here. And it's like, we got to go back and do real world stuff when we're out of it. It's not that other people don't have good content, Did watch Storm of Steel, but he got snippy with me about a joke I made about the Russians having a bunch of regiments to fight a German regiment. So I unsubscribe and wash my hands of that. Yeah. I don't know. I guess anybody could get snippy. I don't know. Okay, so it's time to epoxificate these guys down. Let's get a piece of cardboard, because I'm sure I don't have one around here. I got more of it in the car. I got the folks at work that are, I said, don't throw any of this stuff away. This is good stuff. I am in Florida. I am. Yes. I love Florida, except how hot it is here. You'd think I'd get used to it, but nah. I'm ready to punch somebody in the mouth that complains about being cold one of these days. Right in the mouth. Hope it's not an old lady. I can't wait for the cool weather. It's actually been pretty cool this week. It's actually been cool mornings. Been, I think, like 57 or something like that one of the mornings. Of course, it warmed up to 78, but some candy ass at work had the heater at 73. There shouldn't be a heater in Florida, ever. Minnie's My Way will actually hand make rat lines. Oh, man. I don't like sailing ships. They all look the same to me. Like Napoleonic sailing ships. Well, the British painted their gun portals this color and their portholes. Okay, cool, I get that. But the shape of the ship is the freaking same. So, pow, right in the kisser, that's right. Blammo! Obviously I'm not being serious, but I get irate. It's like, we only get very few. I don't mind being hot, but I don't want to be at the beach or just sitting around and sweating when you're not doing anything. And the heat comes with freaking bugs, and bugs suck. Bugs suck. But I still love Florida. I think it's the idea of Florida. All right. Which one are we going to do first? Well, of course, the easiest one to do. You want to have a win, right? This guy right here. Now, these little bastards underneath here, if they're going to cause me trouble, they need to be all up like that. Oh, I know how to get these guys. Because I didn't tear this one apart, because it is highly dangerous to do that. It's like playing with a flamethrower that has a leak, and you're a compulsive smoker. It's just really, really dangerous putting your finger that close to to take these rivets out. I don't want to do it anymore. Which, unfortunately, what I've created now is I've created a situation that some of my tanks, the turrets come off, and some of them don't. So if you handle a lot of them that don't, you get in the habit of tilting them, and then you handle one that does, and then it tilts over and falls. So everything's in the right position, right? All right, we're going to come at this and attach it like this. Screw with me. I'll show you. Then we'll flip it over. Because these little tanks are actually made to roll on these little wheels that are underneath there. They're toys. And you can see there, some of this is shining, some of it isn't. We're going to have to come back and brush the rest of it on. But we knew that was going to happen. All right. Excellent. Now, this is going to be El Trico. And I haven't painted these tracks at all. We're going to do some dry brushing on them at the end, but I think it's probably not a good idea to... Well, let's see what the front of this looks like, because the pressure on this is actually making them kind of sink into the teeth. It's not going to be perfect. It's a freaking toy, so let's try putting this here. Let's try putting this, and I'll get back to you guys' comments in a second, but this is like urgencia. We're in urgencia mode. We gotta hustle or we're gonna have a problem. Because it's like too wet, too wet, too wet, it dried. Shit. Okay, this should be good enough. I'm actually gonna go ahead. Nah, let's not get ahead of ourselves. I can mix up another batch if I need to. Let's make sure we don't have an epoxy on us. Transfer a shiny spot. Okay, and I think this was the front side. Are we too late? Or is it still workable? Still workable. Excellent. Just don't want to mix another batch because it's just a waste of time. This is the one that had the staple that came undone. I'm telling you, I actually don't mind separate link track. I can't believe I'm saying that. Well, I kicked its ass the other day. There. It's not going to be perfect. It's still going to be sunk into that damn thing for a little bit. Well, we better put this shit down. We have to do this all over again. This seemed to work pretty well. Let's do that. I actually like the brown violet better than the olive drab. Of course, that's why they discontinued it. Okay, let me go back here. Let's see here. Another person in Pennsylvania. I won't be going to Pennsylvania this next year. I don't think so. I don't think I'll be able to make it a Historicon. Late afternoon sauna. Yeah, sounds like here. I was going to go for my walk after mowing 3 lawns. I got about halfway down the alley, an incline, felt my knee tweak. Ooh. Dry Tom and epoxy. It's 5-minute epoxy. What's weird is we've never had knee problems, and then you feel something move that's never, ever, ever, ever moved. It's weird when you can't count on your own body. Yay. I actually painted the headlights on these guys. Now, just disregard that some of them looks like it's shiny, some of it isn't, is I'm going to come back and it made it really dull, but you don't want to go over any of this stuff, so while it's tacky. It made it really dull, the part that I actually caught. And it'd be real easy to come in here and touch that stuff up. But I actually like the OD, the brown, violet, olive drab better. And let's see. Yeah, the one on the right, that one looks really not shiny at all. When you compare something like this one is has a clear coat on it, but it looks like it's got a little bit of a sheen. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe I'm just imagining that it does. Anyhow, man, I love the turret top on that. That turned out really well. I've been really happy with that. And here's the same vehicle in a different color. In the new color. And you can tell I've got a de-shine a couple spots on it. Let me see what it looks like on the screen for you guys. Yeah, I'm glad they're in two different colors. It actually looks better on the screen than in real life. This actually looks browner. And we got to put the antennas. I'm not going to put the antennas here because I've got to drill in that spot. I'm not drilling into die cast. That's just like brutal. So these two aren't going to have a antenna on here. But, you know, these did. So. And then here's the other one. So it's going to be 6 Shermans. Let's put the turrets on them. Just for now, even though we're going to have to touch them up with a flat coat. I opted just to lay them on top because I didn't want to do that and then have to grind every time I turn the turret. It'll eventually wear that paint down. And we'll have to put the antennas. The antennas come back through here. I might actually have to buy a kit to have extra sprues. I threw all my sprue away and I don't have much sprue left. And the sprue I have is old. It's not melting correctly. So yeah. And these are like closer to 76 scale. I don't care. You know, you can like, if I'm going to buy them, I want to buy them in 72. But I already had them. They're toys. You know, I think they're paid less than $5 for each one of those. And, you know. Let me get away from them so I can see what they look like. I think they're really cool. I think they're really cool. And they would look better if they weren't on this, you know, junkyard of a thing. We'll have a photo on them and put them up on the site or what have you. None of them have nicknames yet, but it's real easy to go in there and paint a nickname on it when they earn one, right? You know, I didn't want to call it one, give one a silly name, and it's the one that kicks ass, you know? And here's the die-cast half-tracks also. They're pre-painted like this, so scale creep doesn't bother me. It doesn't bother me either because I know that it's not the right scale, you know? If you're like denying that they're the right size, well, that's a little different. I mean, it's just, you have them. They're $4 a piece, whatever. Let me show you an extreme scale creep thing. I have this, a Roco. I've had this a long time, and it's basically a German half-track with a 40 millimeter, a quad 20 on it, okay? And it's obviously 187. It's small, but it's totally usable for like an objective where they have to knock it out. You know, and I ended up picking up a 1/72nd scale version of the same vehicle, and now you're really going to be able to see the difference between the same vehicle is significantly different. And I'll move the camera here in a second. This is like an extreme Let's get rid of this epoxy before something gets stuck to it that we don't need to. That's an extreme example. But it's a plain piece. So I'm totally going to paint this up. And it's totally going to look awesome. It's a little small, whatever. The figures are this big. I mean, you know. They all have names. It'll be fine. This actually looks too big. Well, the gun doesn't, you know, but the vehicle, it's a big half track. It's what they used to haul tanks around and, you know, pull them out of mud and stuff if they needed to, if they could. You have some slide rule Nazis in your club. What kind of nickname do tanks get? Normally, they would get, if they were like the A company, all the vehicles would have start with an A, like Acorn, Abercrombie. You know, they would have just different names. You know, but you know, it's got to be period specific. You can't call them like, you know, asshole and, you know. So that's why it was just too much of. I mean, ultimately, you can do whatever the hell you want, but I'd like to try to be, you know, I try to be realistic, and then you can put your own spin on it, so to speak. You know. All right. Let's. Think these are glued down enough? Yeah. All right. Let's. We're gonna do the finish, to get all the shiny stuff last. Okay. Let's get the basing and stuff on there. And I think after these, I got to figure out what I'm going to do. I don't want to put more decals on these guys. The decals are not much of a problem. Although these guys are going to look really cool with like packs and stuff. So I may look tomorrow to see who else makes packs for these decals and then order them. And then while that's coming in, paint a couple of German vehicles. Dunkelgelb, you know. But this armor fast, this turret is like boring as shit. There's nothing going on there of interest compared to these toys. These two in particular, this one in particular is just, like I said, whoever designed this particular vehicle needs an award named after them. I was very impressed with that. All right, let's get rid of this guy. These guys are done. All right. These are the ones that we need to do. All right. So let's get the old Iraqi sand out here. That's the one color we don't have on here yet. No, not dark sand. I know they're close, but we need to be consistent. Let's take the turrets off so we don't have a mishap. I'm surprised we didn't hand paint the stars. Nah, it's way too fiddly. Way too fiddly, and they always look perfect. I may at some point come in and chip some of the white in the same, but you know, I didn't want to get tied into that just yet. They work good for now. Nah, I wasn't going to hand paint the star. If there's something I can't hand paint, it'd be the stars. That's just difficult. You could do the German crosses. All right. Let's get something that we're going to have some confidence in. This guy right here. Now, I've already gone over these tanks with this color on the sides. So I don't really need to do it. What I haven't done is gone over the base. So we will do that now. So we've already kicked this stuff up on the side of the tank, but it doesn't hurt to put a little bit more on it. This isn't North Africa, though. Well, you could have some fun with some dusty shit in North Africa. And if you hear the loud children, that's just the loud children. I actually didn't like, talking about hand painting, I actually didn't even like hand painting the serial numbers on here. I hate that about American tanks, that they have that stupid serial number on there. It's a pain in the ass you got to deal with, so. Haven't painted on these yet. I may or may not do it. It's just not a priority for me right now. I got to leave something for the weekend. Okay. That one's good enough for government work. Next. I don't want to promise something I'm not going to be able to deliver on, but I may be able to do something cool this weekend for you guys. We'll see. Well, it's for me too. We'll see if I can do that. I don't want to say what it could be and then be like, no, I wasn't able to do it. I don't like people that do shit like that. And if it doesn't happen, it's against my wishes, so. No guessing. I don't like bragging or talking about, hey, I'm going to do such and such over the weekend. And then it's like, so how'd it go? Fuck, I couldn't go, you know. That stuff's frustrating. Now, there's some people that seems like they make a living doing shit like that, you know. Saying they're going to do A and then not do A. I don't really care for folks that are that way. Can't be counted on for much. The old saying I heard a long time ago said, I like you for who you are, not the stories that you tell. That's saying from like 1990. Slide rule Nazis. Scalists. That's the wrong scale. That turret's too big. You know, it's a wargaming miniature. You need to move on. I mean, I'm pretty anal retentive about stuff. But, you know, if the person that's painting it doesn't care, then I don't need to shove my, anal retentiveness on them. You know, they're using a hobby as therapy. Maybe to keep them from being a serial killer. Leave them alone before they come after you, you know? Relax. Hobby should be about what you want it to be about. I don't tell people what to do. People ask me, what should I do? That's different, but you want to paint things wrong? Paint them wrong. I don't care. It's your painting. I don't have to like it. We had Stitch Nazis in reenacting. If they're based on the same size bases, there shouldn't be an issue. Well, it's to the front of the vehicle. It just happens to be this is the width that all of these are, so this size base is going to work for just about everything. Except for, I think a Panther might even fit on here. Like for instance, this vehicle, it's got the rubber tracks. If it didn't have this base on it, you'd have these dangling tracks that would, get caught up on something. It just easier to freaking deal with. All right. And of course, we're going to put little grasses and shit like that on there. That's next. Yeah, the crackle's not too bad. It could have been a lot worse. Well, now we know what to do. Don't spray paint in the fucking dark. It had to be a first time for everything. Okay. I am going to get something to wet my whistle, probably water, and I will be right back. says, Nazis would have hated me. Did AWI reenacting as a British soldier but fielded with a French Charleville because the Brown Bess overheated too much. I preferred the Charleville. And you'd hate me more. I think all those rifles look the same. Just like sailing ships. Well, that's a French one. That's a British one. They look the frickin' same. The first thing that's off on reenactors is not their equipment. It's what they look like. All reenactors are extremely overfed compared to what people did at that time. I would be too. Especially have to go marching up and down and wearing wool. That was a good way to burn some calories. You carried a Charleville at a couple of Waterloos. I didn't know you were that old. One word, musket, that's right. That's right. You say Enfield. Every time you say Enfield, there's only one Enfield, and that's the one that's in the World Wars. They had other Enfields. Like, I don't think of that. That's... You say Enfield, it's like, yeah, it carries 10 rounds. There's no other kind. Not in my book. Okay, let's get this stuff. And the woodsies. Let's see, why did this fall down? This is not a good sign. Oh, we're not using that color right now. We are using lowland shrubs, which I have a shit ton of. And the other one is the happy bushes that actually look better in the package than they do in real life. They're actually difficult to work with. Dark green shrubs. You say Enfield. Enfield makes motorcycles? Wow. You want a Lee Enfield. I want an FAL. But I don't need to be set back that amount of money. I would love to have an FAL. Sexy. Okay. Shrubberies, we've got 3, so let's at least grab... Oh, I got some leftovers. Let's make sure we use those before they walk off. Enfield made motorcycles, huh? Wow. Let's not dip these in that color, moron. Okay. I actually have some seated little British guys. I have a feeling these guys are going to be part of the crew of the Archer. Oh, here's some happy grass. All right, this is... We're not doing those. Not on this. Nope, this is left over from the Huns. Gonna be a while before we do any 15s. Probably not this year. Shrubber, that's right. One that's not too expensive. Well, it's only $6.99. I never understood that line. Bring me one that's nice, but not too expensive. What? I didn't think it was going to actually pay him for it. Like, who gives a shit how much it costs? You're not paying for it, dude. Silly knight of knee. Who cares how much it cost him? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. My daughter loves that movie. It's funny, a funny story about that movie. It took me a long time to ever see it. And it was a guy that I work with at the hobby store. He had recorded it. Remember, we're talking like, this is like 1991. He had recorded it. He'd like played the movie on his TV and put a tape recorder. That's what we had back then. And we recorded it on tape. So I had heard the movie before I ever saw it. So then when I saw it, all the stuff that I heard made sense. But luckily I have it on DVD with subtitles. So, you know, it's just filmed in poor quality, but it's a great movie. Classic. I don't know if it's a great movie. It's a classic. My daughter, she was like 7 or 8 years old when she first watched it. She really likes it. My favorite part is the Black Knight. Easily. Although every time we watch it, we find something else to laugh about. Last time my wife doesn't watch stuff like that. My daughter enjoyed the guy that was beating the cat. Roger the Shrubber. Ah, yes. These are not very good quality control. They're like stuck, almost stuck to each other. What are these people? Portugal. They're just screwing around making corks and stuff. You people in the UK need to straighten them out. You guys got like a world's longest treaties with the cork boys. Tell them to get some QC going. I don't know what it is about these, but they're almost like they're stuck together. Like the individual ones, you got to pull them apart. Not to the bottom, but to each other. It's weird. I don't know. They actually have pretty deep. It's just these just happen to be like all weird and shit. Okay, so we're gonna put the shrubberies down first, and then we're gonna do the grass. Right. Or the other way. I don't know. I don't care that much. How you know he's a king? He ain't got shit all over him. You killed all my guests. Oh, sorry about that. I'm going to do the grass first, actually. Because I like to use grass to fix boo-boos. So anything that doesn't look up to par, I'm going to put grass there. That's an easy fix. And then we can put it in other places as well. Like, say, a big spot of it here. Spot of grass. Rick had a fine time as a witch. You know he's lurking. Yeah, I think he plays video games, but he's like grinding in the video game, so I don't blame him not listening to it. Oh, we're gonna put a shrubbery. We're gonna put some shrubberies there because that's got something I need to cover up. I remember when I used to play video games, there wasn't a whole lot of grinding, but now it seems like everything is. Like, that's just boring, you know? When stuff ends up being that way, I'm just like, I don't want to play that shit no more. Yeah, we had to skip that part with the Virgin Castle or whatever when my daughter was little. Like, you don't need to watch that part. We only ask those questions. Because my daughter's a question asker. I'd be too embarrassed to ask anything if I was watching it with my folks. Because my folks are, you know, real old school. But my daughter would ask shit. Nah, we don't need to go there. So we just fast forwarded that part. I've come to save you from the peril. I'd like to stay here with the peril. No, it's too perilous. Bet you're gay. No, I'm not. Good times. Right. Now we're going to put a big one right here. And I don't care if I got lots of grass stuck here. What's the biggest one I can find? This bastard right here. Awesome. And now I want to shut Skyrim off and put on MP and the Holy Grail. Yep, Cathal Anthrax is off limits to everybody but me. I just acquired my newest home in the dwarven ruins of Good Lord, is that like a... It's like a German-looking Welsh word. You need to buy a freaking vowel, man. There's like one vowel in that word. 2, 3, sorry. Nushvanthuns. It's New Swan Thumb. The only game I've done a fair amount of grinding in is Diablo. I'm a Diablo fan. I haven't played it in a little bit, but you stop. It's a treasure hunt. You stop finding treasure, it becomes very difficult. I lose interest. You know. And it's actually the only gaming my wife will do. We'll play Diablo. Not a bad game. We have one of those, I just found out we have one of those bars. I think it's a bar that has the old school video games here in town that just opened up. But I'm not a fan of that retro stuff because I played it way back when and it looks like crap now. I'm sorry. It just, I've lived through the 80s, you know? And my daughter ended up going with her boyfriend last weekend. Said it was cool. First thing I asked her is, do they got Gauntlet? She says yes. I said, which one? First one or the second one? Because the second one's crazy. I remember there was a guy at the arcade that was in the mall. And there was always some old guy, well, I don't know if he's old. He's probably my age now, but a little too old to be at a freaking arcade, dude. And he was always playing Gauntlet. And he had a hat like Indiana Jones, a fedora. And he was running the show when it was there. He'd tell people what to do. You go over here, don't shoot that, do this, don't do the other thing, you know. But those old retro things, Atari 2600s, psst, nah. You gotta do some touch-ups on it, obviously, with the getting the shiny parts off, but once an arcade dude, always an arcade dude. PS4. Yep, when I got a console, the PlayStation lost out. I'm an Xbox guy. Not that I play it that often, but I used to buy Sony everything way back in the day. I'm like, but Sony's a pain in the ass. Like, we make cameras. Oh, yeah. Really? Yeah, but our memory things are different. Well, now you're just trying to be a dick, you know? Why don't you just, like, make it compatible? Like, I think it's ridiculous that there's different types of, like, phone chargers. It should be one phone charger. Pick one, and that way it always works on whatever phone you get. It's just a waste of resources. I identify as a USB-C. You know, how about make one freaking one and it works on everybody's. Skyrim Special Edition. It must be a lot different than the one I played. The one I played sucked. It was a long time ago. It might have been like Elder Scrolls, but whatever the first one was. You go around, you talk to all these people that I don't want to talk to in the village. Every building looked the same, and it was just very like wooden. I'm sure the one you're playing is a lot better than that. And I don't mind fantasy games. I prefer them to science fiction. I feel like science fiction needs to have some kind of reality in it as far as like realism, and it frequently doesn't. Well, I miscounted how much of this stuff that I needed, so we're gonna bring these guys back. It must be this one falling around. Nope, that would make sense. All right, it's definitely this one, and the other one I have tons of. I don't know why I'm not finding it now. That's the meadow flowers. Just had it right here. Why something simple like this takes such a long time? No, that's not it. Stay on the ground. If it falls on the ground, it can't fall again unless you get swallowed up by a sinkhole, which I guess could happen, but extremely unlikely. Well, there's a new pack of lowland shrubs. I don't mind opening that one up. It's the one I actually overbought. I bought it when I didn't need it, but guess what? Comes in handy now. Morrowind is a favorite of the Elder Scrolls games. I don't know which one I played. I didn't care for it at all. But, you know, that's why they make different games, because they don't all appeal to one person. There was one game I was never able to finish it because my computer just couldn't keep up with it when I'd gotten it. It was a game called, it took me forever to find what it was called. It was called Dungeon Siege. And I thought the concept was really cool. They just ask you, do you want to be male or female? That's it. And you probably could pick your skin tone and stuff like that. This is around 2007 or something like that when it came out. And then you start your adventure. And then, you know, you have like one spell, a sword. I think you probably have a buckler, maybe not have a buckler, and a bow. When you start using the bow, you start creating bow skills, you start getting better at the bow. So you basically, they don't ask you what kind of a character you want to play. You just start playing, and you will develop whatever character it is that you want to play. So if you want to be a spellcaster, well, you better start casting some friggin' spells and become good at it. And I think that's a great concept. I think that's a good concept, you know. You want to be a spellcaster, start casting some spells. And the more you do it, the better you become at it. Just like real life, right? Not like I want to be really good at spells, but I've never cast one. Well, freaking do some. Do your homework, pal. I thought it was a cool concept. But it was neat. It had goblins. Goblins were, and this was before World of Warcraft. I'm certain this was before World of Warcraft. So it was my 2007 was probably off. It was earlier than that. And the goblins had the weapons. Everything was like fantasy, but goblins had weapons. They had like guns and shit like that. They weren't like super powerful or anything, but they had, they had Jules. Let's call it Jules Verne type things that you could get, along with your fantasy weapons. So it wasn't too outlandish. Clockwork type shit, Your spouse and Hearthfire download can run a shop. People can't get enough of having a spouse in real life. They need to have one in a game. Does she make a good sandwich in the game? Oh, man. Rick could use one of those, a spouse that can cook. I think I lived alone like 11 years and never cooked. Not worth my time. I already have a slow hobby. I just assemble the shit out of things. Really? We have that much wind that this is blowing all over the place? Well, maybe I'll have some static boogers tomorrow. All right. She makes a pie that gives you an experience boost. I'm not going to go there. I'm just not going to go there. Get some experience from her eating pie. I'm sure I'm gonna be honest with you. I never was a Nintendo fan. I like violent video games. I am a devout pacifist each and every day. So I want to, I want to take over the world when I'm pretending. It makes sense to me. I don't want to do it in real life. I want to leave people alone in real life. I haven't really had played any of those games where you have some kind of a lifestyle. I mean, any more than like Red Dead Redemption or something like that. I like those games, and I don't even like westerns. Okay. Where's this turret? The brown turret. You're not going to get a good look on it until we can dull the shit out of this stuff. It's got some shiny parts on it, but this dull stuff works great. That's why I use it. I'm a stealth knife you kind of player. Huh. Way back in the day, I did play World of Warcraft for a little bit. Would have been 2005, 2006. I just didn't like that you had to advance after a certain point. You had to form groups with people that you didn't know. That it took so much inordinate amount of time to find, one of these and one of those. Because that was the first game I ever saw where you just couldn't spam health potions. You had to have a healer, or you were gonna freaking not make it. In Diablo 2, which was around before that, you just buy a shitload of health potions and just spam the shit out of them. I mean, if you can't spam them fast enough, you're still going to die. I mean, it still doesn't solve anything, but it's a, way to move forward. But, oh no, not in that game. You had to have a healer. So I did not enjoy playing a warrior. A tank. I did not enjoy playing a tank. So I ended up playing a rogue. I think that's what the character was called. And I used to call her the thieving bitch. She'd go around, and I could solo and go around, people fighting over a chest and sneak around, go invisible, go in, open it, and then freaking leave, But I don't necessarily wanted to backstab people. I just wanted to, go and find my treasure and avoid combat if possible. Speaking of grinding, playing something like World of Tanks or what's the other one? War Thunder. Man, there's a shitload of grinding. And like, oh, this map again? Oh. At least when you're playing something like one of those other games, you're seeing different stuff. Not, oh, this damn map again. Although I was listening to something, a Mark Felton Productions, and he was pushing War Thunder. I'm like, yeah, use my code for this, that. I was just watching something on him today while I was working out, and I'm like, really? I know several people that have spent real money on those games. I'm like, I just don't get it. I'm like, if it's a free game to play, I'll play it for free, and I'm going to get tired of it. And I spent no money on it, right? I can walk away from it at any time because I have no investment. It was you who gave me the name Ballbustin' Steve. No, where would I get Steve from? No, not for Dicey Depths. Because I was pulling names out of a bag from a tournament. Ballbusting Steve made an appearance. No, I would never call a Dicey Depths type of game character Steve. It just doesn't work, maybe ball busting Siegfried, it's just not an appropriate name. I would never name a guy Steve that's in that. Okay, Nordic, well, thanks for stopping by. Let me know if you get an email address I can send that stuff to that we talked about yesterday. Do you paint Chinese army more or the Japan army more? Uh-oh. I'll see if I can say your name correctly. Li Haozheng. Welcome. Do I paint Chinese army more or Japanese army more? Well, if we're talking about ancients, Chinese more, because Japanese, at least in DBA, they kind of lack variety. The Chinese armies are freaking really cool. Unfortunately, there's not a whole lot of... there's not a ton of manufacturers for them. It's a lot better than when I first started, but I like the Chinese armies. It's super cool stuff. So definitely the Chinese more. I have a samurai army, and I've got a Tang, a Song, Southern Dynasties, Terracotta Warriors, so the Chi. I want to say I have another one. I have a Korean army. It's neither one nor the other, but they're just more variety, and they're all really good. There's some decent, really decent combined arms stuff. The only thing I don't like about Chinese armies, the only thing I don't like about them, is that their flags suck. You know, you would think, oh, Chinese, well, they got this great mythology and characters and stuff. Oh no, it's just usually like, and I've got a couple guys that are from that part of the world that I communicate with through Facebook, and I said, hey, what's a flag for such and such? And it's basically like just the character of the dynasty, and it's kind of like a lost opportunity. You know, I could do whatever I wanted to, but I want to do it realistic if I can. You know, that's really the only thing about them. Other than that, I think they're really, really interesting. A lot of folks had this attitude. They're like, well, I don't paint Chinese armies. Well, why don't you? You don't know anything. I don't know anything about them. Well, there's your reason to learn about them, you know? I do not play 1/72. I play 15 mil. Love paying Three Kingdoms armies. Three Kingdoms is really interesting. It's like that historical fantasy. I haven't been able to play, what's it called? Three Kingdoms Total War much. It's just, there's so much going on, you know, and I already have a job. But it's really nice looking. It's really, really nice looking. The Three Kingdoms. Wu is definitely my least favorite. I don't know, just something about him just doesn't excite me. I mean, I won't play him, just... And the game, that the Three Kingdoms Total War is actually kind of cool in that I haven't played it much. I got it in, and I got too much stuff going on. But you could actually like play, you know, you could play it historical, and then you can play it the Koei version. So I like to call it. You could have your characters running around like decimating people. I think they can actually die, but you know, you can play with heroes. But okay, thanks, Lee. Thanks for stopping by. Yeah, I like Asian armies. But that's an excuse people say, you know, I don't know anything about them. Well, fucking learn, man. I mean, you know, there's all kinds of stuff. You know, the problem is it is the language barrier, but there's a lot of stuff that's available in English and you could figure out, or you know, I think it's fascinating, and just some really cruel stuff happened over there, and you know, and cruel stuff is, I'm sorry, it's interesting. Mitch really wants a Vietnamese army. So I think you could probably make him, fudging some stuff around. I got some pretty good ideas, so I'll probably send him his way and see if he wants to jump on that. But I won't be doing any 15s the rest of the year because I'll be doing this stuff. So we need to get my creative juices doing this stuff. I'm a little bit more excited about this at this time. Okay, can we still get away with using this huge brush? I don't know, man. I don't know, man. Let's see. Let's try it. Hopefully we don't pay dearly for it. Nordic gets to miss out on his favorite sound. Nah. Any of you hobbyists actually drink? Like drink while you're... I better get rid of this spot that has that glue thing, or it's gonna be... might come back and bite me. Like have an adult beverage while you do hobby. I would just fall asleep. I wouldn't care to do it. I'd fall asleep and then wouldn't care that I fell asleep. We'll use this one. Well, I gotta use the little boys' room. I'll be right back. Okay. Now, you like to watch something when I drink? I know I could paint. I don't think so either. Did I see Nordic say he actually got a Facebook account, but it got suspended? That's what he says. It just seems kind of... I don't know. You got to do something really bad to have your account suspended. I've had mine like... yeah, I haven't been able to post for like a day. And it was something that I shared from like... I found that on Facebook and I shared it later. I don't put controversial stuff up there, you know. I don't put it out in public because, you know, I see controversial stuff and I don't feel like I need to comment on it. But it was actually a meme I've described many times to you guys. I'll describe it again. It's my favorite meme of all time. And it's a picture that's split in half. It's a black and white picture. It's got Churchill on one side and his nemesis on the other side. And Churchill's doing his V for Victory symbol, and the nemesis is doing, you know, the palm wave that he likes to do. And all it says on there is scissors beats paper. And somehow that was... And we don't promote that. We don't promote Nazi people on here, or communists. But yeah, you can do, you know, Stalinist memes, and they're okay. Well, he's a dirtbag too. So we don't promote dictators here, you know. So that's, I think, the only trouble I got. I just don't post, so I think you got to do pretty bad. I don't know. I don't know what the story is, but I've got something that he wants me to send pictures of it at, and I don't know how to reach him. So well, send me your email, or say, you know, I don't really use email for anything. Email is just too clunky. Sending stuff through Facebook is just really, really convenient. I think. I'll get suspended from something I shared like in 2017. Yeah. Revisionist rules. Oh, it's not good now. What? I don't start arguments and shit like that. We're all allowed to feel differently, and you're not going to change anybody's mind. I got something I posted on one of the DBA things. There was one of the, I think the 25 millimeter event, and these two guys are like still going at it about what scale is this, that, and the other. And I'm like, man, these guys need to get a room or need to kiss and make up. It's like, there's just no point in arguing with people virtually. You're not going to change anybody's mind. There's not much point in arguing with people in person. You know, we're all adults. We all have our own opinions, and that's fine. You know? If you disagree with somebody that badly, then just don't interact with them. You know? I don't think it's worth my time. I have limited time on this earth, and I don't feel like wasting it on folks that aren't worth wasting it on. That's why if I play online video games with people, like on Xbox, something like that, I don't communicate with anybody. I don't want to play with some kid that's 7 years old with a gets mouthy. Not worth my time. Yeah, you can't put the Hitler anything or the crooked spider, and I get it. I mean, to a point I agree, but you shouldn't put the Stalin stuff either. So, and I don't know anybody that, I personally don't know anybody that if you sent some Hitler thing that they would be, you know, they'd think you're trying to promote that bullshit, you know? You'd have to live in a freaking cave for a think like that. The crooked spider people, as I like to call them. Well, we'll be painting one of their AFVs here soon. These guys got to need... This isn't Flames of War, you know? Americans kill Germans in these games. They don't, you know, kill Brits and shit like that. This isn't Flames of War. This is no Flames of War. Okay, we'll have to let this dry, and we may end up having to touch a few little places to take the shine off of it. Still yet. It's not a big deal. Like in there. That spot. Those spots, that spot. had a headache for like 4 freaking days. It didn't go away until I took some Allegra. And I don't know that I have allergies, but I guess we all have allergies at some degree or another. But that must have been what it was. Cause sure as shit, it went away. That went back to the gym too. That helped. Even though that's a little counterintuitive, but have a headache, go to the gym. That's kind of like that's the last thing I want to do, but it helped. Why do Americans kill British in Flames of War? Because it's like you can play it like DBA. You know, it's a World War II game, but it's like DBA. You can play, you know, Americans versus Americans. You can play, and I can tolerate it in DBA. I can't tolerate it in a World War II game. I'm too much of a World War II purist. So if other people want to do it, that's fine. It's just kind of, you know, sacrilege as far as I'm concerned. That's what I was getting at. Is you can have, you know, it's a tournament game, and I kind of had enough of tournament games, you know. And I'm competitive in everything I'm playing, but I'm kind of more interested in the narrative than I am in whooping somebody's ass. You know, it's overrated. I'm more interested in having really crazy shit happen and just be really unbelievable. That doesn't mean play stupid. Just, you know, more interested in what develops, so to speak. So this isn't for tournament play. This is for, you know, scenario play. And the scenario might be unbalanced, and, you know, that's life. I'd never been a tournament player until I played DBA. And it's not necessarily to play in tournaments, it's to use my own stuff. Is the interest there for me. I just want to play with my own guys. That way it forces me to have my own stuff. I have to create my own things. You can't just say, oh, I'll just use whatever somebody brings me. No. Play with your own folks. Get your own miniatures. Paint your own stuff. So yeah, you can do Russians and British. You can do Germans versus Germans. I mean, there's probably some events you can't, but... And then somebody was telling me that if I didn't like Flames War, I really wouldn't like Bolt Action. I'll believe them. I'll take their word for it. Still got a little bit of a shine on it. We'll have to. Touch base. At this point, it doesn't really matter how long it takes. We can just keep tinkering. Oh, there's a little wet spot. Because this stuff is really protective. Well, let's put the two 76mm tanks together. Hopefully they're not as shiny as they were earlier. Now, I gotta put my glasses and see what I'm looking at. It's kind of like sitting too close to the movie theater. You know, if you sit all the way in the front row. We gotta put a flicker here for scale. There we go. You're really good at operational distances, like 3 feet away. Yeah. Happy Shermans. So I need to figure out what I'm going to do about the star decals, because These decals from Petting House just absolutely suck. They're just too thick. That's really the only thing wrong with them. They're just too thick. And honestly, they're not. Yeah, they're kind of noticeable. But what am I gonna do? You know, it's too late now. So we have a truck to do. We have a truck for the Americana, an Americana truck, and then we've got 3 half tracks that are toys, basically. Well, we're gonna add little packs and stuff to the side. What else we have to do for the Americans that I have? I don't know. I'm not real interested in painting this as a priority because this is 1/76 scale. This is a Fujimi 105 Sherman, and you can tell the barrel is no bigger than these other ones, so it's kind of out of scale. And it is the later suspension that didn't come out until I think I read like October. Oh, this is removable? Well, it's not supposed to be. Oh, I like it better without the skirts. Maybe. Maybe not. I didn't put them on there. This is one of the ones that I got from the estate sale. So, yeah, gentleman never glued them on there, but yeah. Anyhow, so that's the stuff that we got to do over the weekend. Yeah, this truck's definitely asking for a round star on the truck itself there. Let me see if the girls are still awake. Hold on a second. Okay, yeah, we're gonna call it a night, and we're probably gonna start with a truck. Honestly, I don't know that I don't think I've ever painted a truck. I have plenty of them to paint, so I definitely have a round U.S. decal on the hood there. Definitely seems appropriate, but in the half tracks we'll do these in a mix of colors. Well, a mix of colors meaning those two colors as a base. They're not that different from each other, and they're definitely, okay. I do want to do start working on a Panzer this weekend because I've got to test out the rules tank on tank on my own, and we need a bad guy out there to get blown up, and probably a Stug 4. If I'm not happy how it turns out, it's just not a very good. It's not a very good quality casting. So anyhow, they should be pretty fair match for each other. So maybe the Stug 4. So anyhow, thanks for stopping by, folks. And as always, we'll catch you guys later.